Hi there and welcome to Planet Zoo. So today I'm back in the Australian Sustainable Eco Zoo that I've been working on. It's been a while since I've been in this zoo and honestly I've really missed it. I'm really enjoying working with the Australia Pack pieces and I'm really enthused about all the sustainable build pieces they have in that and how we can really build this into the game. So my Australian zoo, if you haven't watched any of the other episodes from this series, basically this is sort of like an outback micro zoo and it's focused on realistic sustainable design. Now I've gone with this theme in because that's kind of realistic to what would be achievable to a zoo that's based near or in the outback. It would be difficult to build in this sort of climate and the remoteness, that would definitely make it difficult to build with too. So that's my zoo in a nutshell. We've got some of the amenities put in already and we've got the dingo habitat that I put in the last video. So this week, this is really just an update and taking a look at some of the new additions I've put in since the last video. So first off, I've worked on the little education zone here. Now, in my last video, I was talking about how I wanted to put something in this little space here because it was looking a bit empty and it did need something. I mean, it's not big enough to have a habitat or even like a toilet or something because they've got toilets right next door. So I thought a little education hub would fit in quite nicely. The structure is comprised mostly of bamboo, which has worked really well actually. Now, bamboo is one of the best eco-friendly building materials you can use, so I will be using a lot of bamboo structures in this build. Bamboo's rate of self-generation is incredibly high, and it's prevalent across most of the world. Bamboo also has a high strength to weight ratio, and that makes it really durable, so it can stand up to the stress of using it for structures like this. It's also super lightweight, so transporting bamboo is going to be a lot less intensive than, say, traditional timber or concrete materials, and it's obviously better for the environment than, say, using a composite plastic or something. The only obvious drawback is that it's not going to have the same lifespan as something like, say, concrete. This kind of structure would need replacing more frequently. However, it's so easy to resource and manipulate bamboo that it makes it a really appealing sustainable building material. As you can see, the structure winds around this tree. That means I've not needed as many structural support beams like this one on the outer edges. That helps keep this structure quite open and airy, which I felt was important for this type of thing. The canopy above is made of, you guessed it, more bamboo. Now in between the bamboo, this is made of fabric from the Arctic pack. Now I've only recently just picked up the Arctic pack, and boy have I been missing out. I should have picked that up a long time ago. So I've been playing with some of those pieces, and having this flat fabric piece and the fact that it's flexicolour makes this a really versatile piece to play with in the game. Anyway, inside here we've got a couple of Australia benches. Now, I wasn't sure whether I'd managed to squeeze in a path here without messing up the pathing already in place, but I did just about manage it. The space here was just big enough to place a circular path around this, so I like that guests will actually be able to walk around this now. Originally, I was worried that this would only be a non-traversable area. So, the education boards inside here, I've got these switched off right now because the only animal I've got in here is the dingo. And so every board would be telling you about the dingo. And I feel like that's a little bit overkill. I really wish Planet Zoo would let us just place our own media in the game, to be honest. Same way you could do with Planet Coaster. I was really hoping that that would become available eventually, but it's been a year now and there's still not even a hint of that, so I don't think it's going to happen. They're not going to let us put our own images or music in the game, I don't think. I just think it would be great if we could design our own education boards, because like here, I would probably have a couple of my own custom boards talking about sustainable design, because that's what's really important in this zoo. As it is, I've used some of the Australia pieces here, and of course more bamboo. Bet you're sick of me talking about bamboo now. Anyway, so I made a couple of benches here out of recycled materials. Now, these are obviously just for show, people aren't going to sit on them, but I thought it would be nice to show how you could use the sustainable materials to make like a recycled bench, and you know, in the real world that's something that would definitely happen. So you've got recycled wood for the arms of the bench bit, and then recycled wooden pallets as the sit-downy bit. Now, this is all held together with a couple of sturdy metal rods, and I'm pretty pleased with how all of this turned out. There's 2 of these in place, and I'll probably dot a few more of these in and around the park. So that's the education section done. The animal habitats, I'm still mulling over what to do with this one. I think this side is going to be too big for the kangaroos, so either I need to split this up or make it smaller. The problem is I like the figure of 8 type shape that I've got going on here, and reducing this side is going to throw that way out of balance for this side. So I do need a bit more thinking time on that one. So that brings me to the other thing I've added in the zoo. And I've been desperately trying to hide this all video and not throw it in the shot because I've actually built an airfield. This came about when somebody commented in one of my previous videos in the series that because transport would likely be an issue with this type of zoo, you know, being in the outback, they suggested that you might have a small airfield close by for transporting goods in and out, and I completely agree with that. You get a lot of this in the outback, just little airfields dotted here and there. So I thought that was a great idea, so I've put one in. Now, I know realistically this is way too close to the zoo. I mean, the poor animals, their enclosures are so close, they would be so stressed with all the noise. The problem I have is that to do this realistically, I'd probably have to place this right over here in the corner. But, you know, I've taken a bit of artistic license on moving it closer so that the build isn't stretched out all the way over there. I'm guessing the runway is probably way too short as well. You're probably going to need a much bigger run-up for the planes taking off and landing. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's just a game, and I'm just happy that I was able to make this work at all. So the airfield is connected to the zoo via this back of house staff only area, so you're not going to get guests wandering back here by mistake. I like as well, even in the race section of the path here, the airfield is pretty well obscured from view. I mean, you're going to see a little bit of this, but it's not close enough to see the details. The security here is pretty low-key as well. I mean, this is a tiny little zoo receiving maybe air deliveries for a few goods here and there, so nothing international obviously. I feel like a small security office here, and the security post and barrier we've got around here, this would suffice for what we're using this for. Now, the little plane here that's mid-takeoff, this isn't my own creation. This is a workshop piece by Pippi the Poltergeist. And I remember when she was building this last year, and as soon as I started working on the airfield, I thought, oh, this is going to be perfect for that little plane that I remember them building. So there we go, I've got that in. It's not my plane, but it's really easy to find on the workshop if you want this in your own zoo. So last piece of the airfield is this hangar. Now, I stole this design from a picture I found on Google. I mean, I literally typed in Outback Airfield into Google and a load of these type of buildings showed up. So a lot of old scrap corrugated type metal and in this semicircle dome shape. There's a couple of windows and these big doors, which are actually the animal doors, but I'm makeshift making these be plain doors at the moment. I'm relatively happy with how this looks. I would have liked to have roughened the terrain up a little bit here, but the game doesn't really do terrain in small increments. You either have it entirely flat, or it would look like there was big holes everywhere, and that won't do for an airport, would it? So I've made my peace with that and left it flat. Anyway, that is where the zoo is up to so far. Please let me know what you think of all this in the comments. Any suggestions are always very welcome. As you can see today, if you suggest stuff that I think makes sense and it fits in with the zoo, then I will absolutely put in stuff that people suggest. So please keep the comments rolling in. Anyway, without rambling on forever, I'll just say thanks for watching. Bye for now.